And the next,
you have big size, Bebe Cool. You have Ruchi, one of the biggest gospel. You have big
comedy.
In all, not comedy, in size, in weight.
Yes.
Then we have big in the purple party. Basically, they are big.
Bebe opagenda kola bato ya mwine Chameleon. Nga bakulese nga ogwosose wano tukubesebese weziwera wali eri 14 minutes. Chameleon ajje wano mugambe kakati date tugenda wano sente bweziti kigwe.
Oyo no ye. Obo sunde professionalism. Ubanga nyinza okusaba wano obuwumbi contract gyoleta wale bayabu ku live.
Douglas. Yes.
Ze kitegedde kati. Nti unveil si battle. Okimanyi nti badde nkigamba.
Walabyeko Bebe n'ogamba.
Nedda, kyabadde banyiswa deal.
Battle.
Nina be nakakasa.
Yes.
Ne baga bakini baluka battle. Be bagirimu. Kyokka nti sinje to unveil.
Kirabika kyekyo.
Ekya battle.
Yes, sir.
I don't think so.
You don't
think
so?
Naye nga nakyo gyekiri.
Well, basically, Joseph, are you ready for the battle? I am ready for the battle. But then, the battle comes at a cost. This is the most, these are the biggest brands in the music industry in Uganda today, by far reach. Okay? Kati abantu baffe nsuubira nti bwe tuba bukola battle, Africa must pay attention. Because Africa. It is a 6 o'clock evening to a 6 o'clock in the morning. And it is to prove. The world has always had this question. Ani asinga okuyimba. Usually battles you don't need to be enemies. No. You just need to now say, okay, prove to me, gw'onsinga oba nze nkusinga.
Nenga omusajja omusinga.
Ate kati sisa kusalawo. Kati mwe musalawo wali ng'olunaku lukoze eki? Nga luwedde.
Oyogedde ku kosti. Tukyalira ku events because the battle is also going to be one of the most talked about events. Naye otugamba mbu si eyo katujjeyo lo katugyogereko kati. The battle of Bebe Cool and Chameleon. Who is sponsoring? Is it state? Is Bebe organizing funds or lese sente zo ne Chameleon aleta sente zo ne mugata ne mukola battle ani ateeka mu sente?
I think an individual cannot or individuals cannot sponsor that gig because it is way too expensive. It has to be government.
And you can never cover that money from gigs. Because you can't whether you say what.
But government can do it and the reasons the reasons why they should do it in the future is obvious. One, appreciate what Bebe and Chameleon have done for this industry. Because these two guys have dug that road that is now confirmed as an entity or a fraternity that pays and makes life. I know there were people before who did what they did, but then we have that extra mile that we went to extend, to bring it back down here. I don't want to break down how artists have
Bebe oyogera ekyo ate obolese Bobby Wine wali ku side ate nga mwabeeranga basatu. Lwaki tugase Chameleon, Bebe Cool, Bobby Wine nekiggwa
ono ayagala tukubya
anti battle ezirala zaaliwo before. I understand waliwo battle ya Bobby
yes.
Chameleon
yes.
yali ku katikati ne wajjawo battle ya Bebe ne Bobby.
Yes.
Ne wajjawo battle ya Bebe ne Good Life.
Yes.
Kakati wabulawo battle wakati wa Bebe ne Chameleon.
Lwaki oli omujja
ekyo kigwe.
Principal lwaki omujjamu
ate principal yagwa dda. Ate lwaki principal muddamu omusajja mwagaza ki?
Okoma mu round 2.
Ate round 2 ng'ono sinamukwata round 1. Kansooke mmalirize ono round 1 then principal bato ye ey'abasatu ejja kujja ng'avudde mu bino ebintu kubanga abuzayo emyaka gye nga 10 bino ebintu abikoowe. Tujja muwa chance kubaffe tujja kuba tukyatrendinga.
Toyagala bamusiime kati saawa zino.
Tasobola kati tasobolerako ddala naawe. Let us be genuine.
Isaac lwaki oyogera tekuli mayi? Isaac aseba alina byayisaayisaawo talina mayi alese Bebe afafaagane.
Nga nfafaagana ki? Principal talina music. Isaac,
We have 9 minutes.
Hey, Douglas. That being said, I think let us give shouts out to the promoters, to the events organizers, because now we have seen a trend where back in the day, event suppliers, service providers like Phenon, Talent Africa, we have Events Warehouse, they had to do was to supply equipment, ATS, but now they are part of events. They are part of the planning process, they are part of the spending process, they are part of the sponsorship process. Let us talk about, I will give a typical example of Talent Africa. I am super proud to have worked with Ali Alibai and Talent Africa in the whole, because he is not just a promoter but an events organizer who understands the artists
and the details.
You can never execute an event with Talent Africa unless you've had not less than 15 meetings. 15 meetings, because the detail is in the planning. Those are the things I love. Not these things. Salvador, cha 22nd. You don't hear from the person. You only hear on the day of the event. Otusewa. That is the most painful thing for an artist when you are not part of the process.
Okay, Douglas.
Yes.
But thank you for that plug, and but I also have something that I should not leave this stage without saying. You were talking about promoters and why artists are choosing to do their own shows. Promoters are fully disrespectful. How dare does a TV host a man who comes on TV and says he has made a list of prices of artists, and that fool, the same fool is the same one who's going to call the same artists to perform TV atabayite muje munkoleji mukubere kati wabera ku TV nasaba Bebe wa milioni emu gundi asana zino kakati ekiddako nga mze mulinda. This is what happened to Eddie Sendi. For Eddie Sendi, I will say the truth. Okay, Eddie Sendi goes on Saturday and talks hell about my brand and how much I deserve. Me, I listen, it's okay. But then he has a venue where he signed a contract where he does events.
Yes.
And the boss tells him, I want you to bring Bebe. So the next week he had a problem
of calling Bebe.
Calling me. He called, I listened. He said, I need you to perform for me on this day. I said, it's okay. What are the rates? I gave him my rates. I told him, okay, for that venue, I'll take 15 million. He's like, huh? I'm like, it's okay, don't wake up, manager. Bebe now, it's okay. And in that, what you do? Nonya kamilioni anti ku radio show yali agamba nti oli ewa sente zino nze ndi wazino kati nga ze zayogera okuŋŋamba mu kutu nga kati nga ne muganda edda gwe engeri gye wagambye nti oli ye munene weezo zimutwalire kati ate ne mmala ne mukubira akamiri ne mugamba oyo takuleetera ezo musabe eddabo.
Tukomao.
So Douglas, these promoters must learn to respect the business from which they make money, and their business is artists.
Thank you so much. The issue of sponsorships touches it up a little bit. When you talk about events, sponsorships play a big, vital role. Before we go to that question, we're remaining with 22 minutes to the unveil. So if you're watching, in 21 minutes, actually right now, the unveil is officially going to be done for you to know what the next big thing is all about. And when you see that, please head out on Twitter, #NextBigThing. You can tag Next Media, any of our brands, and let us know what you think of what we have just unveiled. Sponsorships. Towulira back in the day, the likes of Chagulanyi, Bobby Wine, bafuna sente nyingi nnyo from telecos like MTN. Kabiriti oyo n'avaamu oba n'ennyumba. Like the money was so much back then. Why is it so difficult for corporate companies to give those sums of money right now?
I think I can say something about that. When these brands came, I will use a big example like MTN, because I was in MTN the time they were giving those endorsements. Back in the day, they had ambassadors. They didn't just sponsor an event. They had ambassadors. And an ambassador had 3 takeaways. They had the endorsement fee. That is to say, Salvador Tukwagalanga ambassador, this is the amount you sign. Just to have you as an ambassador.
The sign-off fee.
Then the sign-off fee. Then they had the promotional fee. Promotional fee in case they had promotions. Baina, Okola, Advert, TVC, Bichi. That was a different fee. Then they had appearance fee. The appearance fee, every time they had a press conference and they needed you had to be paid. Separate from those other 2. Loyalty came into question when, if MTN had signed you, I don't want to give examples, but they were the best examples of why these companies lost the faith in artists. But there were artists who were signed under MTN.
Yes.
I vividly remember giving a lot of money, over 250 million annual signing fee. And then they said, you cannot appear for any other
event,
telecom company, competitor,
yeah.
Regardless of what, because you're our face, you're our ambassadors. These guys, when a new company came, they came to them and said, fair, talking about a million chukumi, we don't want any attachment.
I think Ziri was
already was signing. All we want you to appear on this concert when we are unveiling. The other artist said, sure. That is when those corporate companies started to pull out from the whole.
Which artist was it? Bebe?
They were there. So right now they sign us per event. They sponsor us per event.
Salvador,
yeah.
You know me what I did? I had a different deal with Airtel. Actually, that's how I made a simple deal. It was a direct one. And that's how I ended up on the Mandela concert. Because my issue was more about the brand, not the money. But on your question, why is it that now corporate companies can't pay
those
much
huge
money
sums, yeah,
like those days? There are 2 scenarios that I look at here. Number 1, the economy has become a bit tougher. Government has opened its eyes. Today, the corporate companies are paying way much more taxes than that time when they had just begun. They are paying way much more taxes, so they reduce on how much they spend.
Salvador's point.
Number two,
yes,
quality of what to spend on. Abayimbi boyagala okuteekamu sente. Types of songs, names of songs, how does the artist look, what did the artist talk, how does he conduct himself, of what value do you attach a corporate company that can spend 200 or 300 million onto an individual? Here comes TikTok, osanga abayimbi bavuma bawemula, they look like they don't bathe, they look like hell, and you want corporate companies. Let me tell you something, Douglas. A brand is the most expensive thing. Olabezo company, they matter, everything matters. Cleanliness, how you conduct yourself, bathing, it's pure now.
It matters.
So now, Bojango imbe nyimbe zuwe mula, boyagala sponsorship mu company there MTN. Sincerely speaking, Boja osiba ku TikTok, empale zien zikola bichi, oyagala UBA kuwe sente. These people have conduct. These are corporate companies. Achikambo corporate tochera vida.
Yes.
So, if you do not behave in the line of corporate, then you cannot be favored by the system of the corporate companies.
Okay. Isaac, the corporate companies also started a new custom of organizing their own events. Bell Lager has Oba Fest that is coming 22nd. Jahazi Choir. Club does club sets, club dome, etc. etc. Tusker does its own events. Baleta n'abayimbi baabwe. If you have the corporates that should have sponsored the artists do their own events, that means they are losing much more interest in giving you the money. Where did they lose the faith?
I think it's the demographics changing, the disruption that we keep talking about. I remember some years ago, a friend of mine came to visit from Kenya who were hanging out with King, and the guy was telling us that in Kenya, they were wondering, where is all the money going? Advertising, they said, follow the money. When they followed the money, they realized that digital was starting to take off, social media and digital, and it had eaten a big chunk. There's companies that did a flip and said we're going to spend 80% of all our budget on social media and digital. Those dynamics definitely affect how much they are spending on sponsorship. So they spread their
budgets.
Yes, wider.
We are remaining with 15 minutes. 15 minutes, we will be unveiling officially